Got to figure out what's going on, guys. So Donald Trump has activated the National Guard, which to me, I absolutely love. I think it's the best call you could possibly make, protecting our citizens. But I need to know what's going on. Why are the Democrats so upset about this? I will never know. I've been asking around. Some people are calling it racist, but I need to know. I generally want to get people's opinion on why people are upset about this. So that's the topic, guys. We're trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on with the Democrats going crazy, trying to call everything racist, trying to just not do what's right for America. We do know that Trump obviously, made a very tough call. He made a very tough call when it came to the National Guard, and the D.C. police union is even on board with it. So if the D.C. police union is even on board with it, why aren't some of the citizens getting on board? I mean, we literally saw this call that he made, and there were riots. There were not riots, but there were protests. Imagine trying to protest the president for trying to keep Americans safe. Again, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea why anybody would be opposed to it, but this is just the way our country is going for right now. So I need to know what's going on. What does everybody think? I feel like Donald Trump doesn't get enough credit for all the stuff that he's doing for America. He has been one of the better presidents as far as putting America first. One of the first things that he did was when you had 10 million people flood the border when Biden and Harris were in office, immediately tried to close that border and start doing mass deportation, what the country does, which is what Biden, reluctantly did, which is what Obama did by deporting, over 3 million people. So it seems like whenever Trump tried to do something for this country, especially when it comes to crime and trying to stop crime and trying to alleviate it and trying to make sure it doesn't happen to the best of his abilities, of course. There's always people that are pushing back on that. Again, you saw the riots in LA, and nobody on the Democratic side told them to go home and stop throwing things and assaulting officers and burning down cars and all this other stuff. It's crazy. So I just don't know what more he could possibly do. You have the leader of the free world, which is the most important position ever, try to clean up these cities. You're trying to clean up these cities and you get so much pushback. I mean, you have people protesting in the middle of the street the next day. I mean, almost like 1,000 people protesting the next day, talking about they didn't want Trump to clean up the cities, which if you're not doing anything wrong, what does it matter? What does it matter? Why are you so upset that somebody is trying to clean up your streets and make sure that you're safe and make sure you're not getting, robbed when you go to your car? So just trying to figure out what's going on and see what people think. Somebody asked me the other day if I thought that the Democrats were intentionally trying to sabotage Trump with every little thing. And of course, I 100% agree that that's what they're trying to do. I mean, who opposes mass deportations when you have so many undocumented people, millions of undocumented people come across the country, and you have no idea who they are, where they're from, any type of background, and why would you be opposed to that? That was the first sign. And then, once you start having ICE pick up people, which again, undocumented people, which again, you shouldn't be in here illegally. I saw somebody on CNN say that what is going on? Why are they deporting people? I mean, they're law-abiding citizens. And I said, wait, no, again, that's an oxymoron. They're not law-abiding because they broke the law getting in here, and they're not citizens. So I don't know what you're talking about. But unfortunately, we're in a state right now where the Democrats will do anything to sabotage this administration. And unfortunately for the Republicans, we have 3.5 great years left. But I'm really concerned because if there are protests in Washington, if there's protests of every little thing that he tries to get accomplished, especially when it comes to the tariff, especially when it comes to cleaning up the crime, we have to talk about it, because the problem right now, if you don't talk about the crime, then it's never going to get fixed. How are you going to, I mean, the first thing that you have to do when you have a problem, at least admit that you have a problem. And the problem that we have to admit and we have to start talking about is that the black crime in communities are insane. It's skyrocketing. It's always been a problem, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody can talk about it because if you talk about it, well, you're considered racist. You're considered, your Uncle Tom or Coon or all these other names to get you to stop talking about the subject. Because we all know, if the Democrats were to be honest, if the Democrats were to actually sit there and say, hey, yes, this is a problem, black people, we need you to stop committing crimes, well, then of course they would get offended and they wouldn't vote for them anymore. That's the reason why the Democrats don't talk about it, which is a huge problem, because they know that if you talk about the crime, well, black people are first going to get offended and they're not going to want to vote Democrat. But Republicans the problem is that we've been told for, the last 10 years to be quiet. And I think a lot of people have actually been quiet because they didn't want to be called a racist. They didn't want anybody to accuse them of being racist so they could potentially lose their job or their home life or whatever's going on. So a lot of people just shut up. They just stop talking about it. But that's the problem. How is things going to get fixed and changed if you don't talk about it? And we have to talk about it. And it's a problem. It's very uncomfortable. But the problem is that this country has allowed crime to continue to happen and happen and happen. I mean, you're talking about every time you go to CVS or Walgreens or Target or Walmart, every time you go to there, you can't even get deodorant anymore without even getting a cashier to unlock it for you. It's crazy. Deodorant costs $3. And I can't even grab deodorant by myself anymore because these people have just come into these stores and just stolen everything, forcing people to either close up their business or lock up all their goods. And it's crazy. And when are people going to actually say, okay, enough is enough? And this is what Trump is doing. Enough is enough. It's not just the murders and the crime like that, but it's also the little stuff too. It's also the shoplifting that has to get addressed. And if nobody's addressing this stuff, I mean, there was even a law in California said that if you don't steal above $1,000, it's pretty much fine. And that's why you saw all these, luxurious stores, Gucci and all these other places in San Francisco and all the other places closed down because they can't afford to keep their doors open when everybody is allowed to steal. I mean, everybody has seen these videos of just 10 people coming in at once and just ransacking the store, stealing everything. And then it got so bad that people that work there who try to stop them or tackle them or do something to prevent a mass amount of theft, they would get in trouble. They could potentially get sued because if you hurt somebody, well, then that person who was trying to steal, who got tackled and let's just say hurt himself, can then sue the store, which is a crazy nonsense type of thing. So the businesses were like, hey, look, we're not trying to get sued. So if you see people just come in our store and steal, oh well, insurance will cover it, whatever the case may be. But this is the problem. You've allowed a standard to where people see crime and will not say anything. I mean, imagine just going into a store and stealing everything and knowing you can get away with it. And the Democrats who are in charge of the city say, don't worry about it. It's okay. I mean, you see AOC. AOC literally says that it's okay to steal if you're poor. If you don't have the means, it's okay to steal because that's your way of surviving. That's your way of surviving. Instead of, trying to get a job, cleaning yourself up and try to get a job somewhere, shape, or form. If it's even at a gas station, if it's at McDonald's, who cares? McDonald's is always looking for workers, but it's almost like undervalued because people think that hard work in America is embarrassing. There's nothing wrong with working at Burger King or McDonald's or something like that if you're trying to survive and take care of your family. I'd much rather do that myself than steal and try to act like I have it when I don't. Or I'm trying to steal all these luxurious goods and all this stuff when I don't have it. So I think what Donald Trump is doing is he's making a point to America, like, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. And the fact that it's so funny, the fact that when anybody should want to feel safe. Everybody should want to feel safe. You should be able to go to your car at no matter time. If it's 10 o'clock, midnight, 1 o'clock, you should be able to go to your car and not worried about you getting robbed or carjacked or, anything like that. And that's what we're trying to do in America. We're trying to make sure that these streets are safe for everybody. And the good thing about it is that Donald Trump is not just doing it for Republicans. He's doing it for everybody. He wants everybody, even the people that didn't vote for him, he wants them to be safe. And that's your job as a president, is to make sure that you take care of every single person in the country, even if they hate you, even if they despise